Alright, so we're going to be working on a library project, so it's similar to the library project that we're doing in class at the moment, except for the fact that it's just going to use Flask, just Flask. There's no separate front end, so all it is going to use is Flask. I'm also going to run through how we can do a virtual environment as well. I'm going to be using that for the installation of my packages. So I have a, let me zoom in a bit. I have a requirements.txt file here, which I've just put into the root directory of the folder that I'm working in. So I can use this to install all the different packages that I'm going to need. So to start off, I'm going to create my virtual environment. So on Windows for me, that's going to be pi-m venv, and I'm going to do .venv for the location of my virtual environment. So you'll see now I have this venv folder created, and that will be my virtual environment that I'm going to be using. To activate this, so to start using the virtual environment, we type .venv and then a backslash scripts backslash activate. And that puts us into the virtual environment. So we've got this bit here which tells us we're in the virtual environment. So to start installing the packages from my requirements file, I'm going to type pi-m pip install r requirements.txt. So that's going to look at this requirements file. It's going to collect all these different requirements that we've got, and it's going to install them. So they'll all start to appear in here, or they should start to all appear in here. There we go. We've got our SQLAlchemy populating. We've got the WTForms, so on and so forth. So it's just downloading it all. This is good because it means that that everything's shared across like my whole machine. So there's not going to be any kind of conflicts of any other Python packages that I have installed in there. So I've got my virtual environment set up and I've got my requirements sorted. So I'm going to get started creating my app. So as usual, we're going to start with a myapp.py file. So myapp.py, and this is going to say from app, we're going to import the app. We're then going to create our config. So I'm going to do this a little bit differently from what I usually do. I usually add in the environment variables, where I'm not going to do that now because we never really use them. So we're going to set our base directory as the current directory that we're in. So we do os.path, get the absolute path. So that's, you know, if you open up, it says also like c:// or c:/docs, you know, that kind of the whole path it wants. os.path dot directory name, and we have this file. So we'll declare our class config. We'll set our secret key as I'm just going to set it to can we get like a shush emoji? There we go. Secret key. SQLAlchemy database URI is going to be single quotes SQLite : then we got 3 slashes, and then we can use that base directory stuff that we just made. So path.join our base directory with app.db. So this one's a lot more simpler. I'm going to change that from an emoji just to some letters, just so it doesn't like get confused or something a bit later on. So that is the 2 files that we need sorted. We can then go on to creating our app folder. There we go. And I'm just going to grab another resource because what was it? Flask-Migrate. I'm going to need to use some of this stuff. I need to set the variable for when we're trying to open this. So I'm going to try and grab it. Okay. So we're going to do, in our command line, we're going to do set Flask app as whatever we've called this. So in my case, my app.py. That's going to make sure that Flask, when we do the Flask run, so Flask run debug, it's gonna know where this file is, and it has known where this file is because it's saying apps not doesn't exist at the moment. So we're going to sort that out. So we've got our app folder. We're going to create our underscore or double underscore init.py file, and inside that we're going to set up our app. So we're going to say from Flask, we're going to import Flask from config. We're going to import our config that we just made. We're going to say from Flask bootstrap, import bootstrap 5, so the latest version of bootstrap there. From Flask-SQLAlchemy, we're going to import SQLAlchemy. We need to have from Flask-Migrate, we need that as well. Import migrate. And finally, from Flask-Login, we need to import our login manager. So we can create our app variable. So our app is going to be Flask, and we'll pass the name of the project. We can set our config from the config object. So we've just passed through that config object that we just imported a little bit further up here. We can make sure our app is using Bootstrap 5. We can define our database. We can set up migrate, which takes our app and our database. And finally, we can set up our login. So login is going to equal login manager surrounded by the app. And finally, we'll say from app, we'll import our routes file that we're going to make and our models file that we're going to make. So that's set up. If I try and run that again, it's going to get a little bit further. So it's just saying that routes isn't initialized. So we're going to sort that out. We need to sort the routes and we need to sort out the app so they are both initialized. So inside of our app folder, we're going to create a file called routes.py. Oh, py. Rename py. There we go. And in this one, we're going to say from app, we're going to import our app. Just the app for the minute. That's all we really need. And from Flask, we're going to import. Actually, we don't need any of that yet. So we'll just set up the app to run something. So root directory. Sorry, that's decorator, not function. And we'll create our index root return, and I'll just return. Hello world for the minute. Inside of a nice p tag. So again, still not going to run because we haven't got our models declared. So we need to declare our models file. So we're going to go back into our app folder again and create our models.py. We're going to say from SQLAlchemy, we're going to import, just grab everything, and from SQLAlchemy.orm, or object relationship mapper. So it's the thing that allows us to map different models to each other, or different classes to each other. We're going to import relationship. From the app, we're going to import our database and our login. So we can use both of them. From datetime, I'm going to grab my datetime stuff as well. And finally, I'm going to import hashlib. Oh yeah, and some, and from Flask-Login, I'm going to import user mixin as well. So this should now run if I hit there, there we go, we're running it, and I'm just going to open it up in a browser. There we go, and we've got our Hello World page loaded for us nicely. So, all running. If we then start to create the models for our app now. So if we think back to what we were looking at in the last session, we had a author model, a user model, book model, and a loan model. So we'll start to define some of these now. So we're going to start off making sure we've got our user loader sorted. So we're going to say def, actually I need to decorate it first, at login dot user loader load user takes an ID and returns db.session.get user, and it's not going to be happy with that word user for the minute, but that's fine because we'll sort it out in a minute once we declare our user, which we're going to do now. So class user is going to extend from the database.model model, and is going to also extend from user mixin to the table name is going to be users. It's going to have an ID, which will be a column of type integer, and it's going to take a primary key, or it's going to be a primary key. We're going to have a name for our users, so it'll be a column of type string. They need an email address to have a column of type string. This one we're going to set to be unique. So wait for my IntelliSense to catch up. There we go. Unique to be true. And we'll have a password, finally, password, column, string. Right. So we'll see now up here, that's sorted itself out. It's happy with this user class down here now. We're going to create a class for our author as well. I'm going to sort the inits out in a little bit. I'm just going to get my classes all defined first. So we're going to have an author class, which will extend from db.model as well. Again, it'll have a table name, authors. It will have an ID, which will be a column of type integer, and it will have a primary key. Each author has a name, which will be a string column, and a bio, which will be a string column too. Next, we need our class for our books. db.model. Table name for this one is going to be books. We have an ID. I'm just going to copy and paste the ID bit. It's going to have a title of type string. We're going to have a description, which will be a string. We're going to have an ISBN number. So I'll make this an integer. So an ISBN is a unique identifier for books, which is either 11 or 13 characters long. We got our ISBN. We also need our author ID, which will be a column of type integer, because IDs are always integer, and it will be a foreign key from the author.id table. And the final one we need now is our loan, which will extend from dd.model and the table name is going to be loans in a string. We'll have our ID. We're going to have a user ID, so we know who the loan belongs to. So that's going to be column integer with a which will be a foreign key again. Sorry, foreign key from the user.id. We're going to need to know what book they borrowed, so we'll need a book ID. A column again, integer, foreign key from the book.id. We need to know when they took the book out, so we'll say we'll create a borrowed variable. This will be a column, and it will be a datetime type. We're going to set a default value for this of datetime.now. In fact, we'll do UTC now, but this is deprecated. But we'll just carry on with it. Use by calling now datetime.time zone. Okay, we'll do that. Datetime and time zone. So it's not unhappy with me. Now timezone.utc is there we go. So that's all be when it's borrowed. So I just added in this time zone bit next to our date time up here. And is that right? Yeah, it is. So that will be when we borrowed it. We also need to know when we expect them to return it. So expect. In fact, I'm not going to set the default value for that. I'm just going to get rid of that. Expected return is going to be a column, and this will be a date because I'm not expecting like a specific time. I just want it on a specific day. So we'll just use the date for this one, and then returned is going to be a column, and this will be a date time, so we can get the exact time that they returned it as well. Cool. So with this now, we should be able to build our database. So we're going to do Flask-db init to initialize our database. Flask-db migrate, then Flask-db upgrade. There we go. So it's happy with our database and all the definitions that we made. There we go. We can now click through our different tables in our databases, and we're able to see that they've all been created. So now we need to get our relationships set up between them. So there's a relationship between a book and an author. So each book has an author, and each author has written a number of books. So because one author can have many books, that's why we've got the relationship here. On the many side, one author, many books. One book has one author. So it's a one-to-many relationship. So as we've got that, as that's the case, we're going to create our author attribute, and it will be a relationship against the author table, and it's going to back populates. Back populates is going to be books. So this same word here, I then create here. So it makes the link between the two. So it's going to have a relationship to the book class, and then it's going to back populate, and I need to repeat the name that I used here. So it's going to back populate author. Okay, so this one matches here, this one matches here, and we've got the opposite class name in the first bit here. Let's do that again. A few more times actually. So each user has borrowed books, or has made loans of those books. So we're going to have a loans attribute for them. So it'll be a relationship on the loan class, and we'll just say it's going to back populate user. So we've got loans, loan, user. Cool. If we go down to our loan, we can create the relationship for this user ID here. So it's going to be user will be a relationship to the user class, this class up here, and the back populates will be that loans one that we just made there. So back populates is going to be loans. We've got our book ID one here, so we can create our book. It'll be a relationship to the book class, this class here, and it will back populate loans again. And again, for this book, we can create the loans relationship for this book. Loan back populates will be book. So let's check our migrate. It's happy with. It should be because we haven't changed any actual bits. And then we can run it, and it runs, and it's happy. And I can refresh the page, and I get nothing. Cool. So nothing's broken, and it seems to mostly be working. So we're going to start off with the creation of our user. So we're going to do our initializer for our user, and we'll write a check password function while we're at it as well. So we'll create our init for our user. It takes a self, a new name, a new email, and a new password. Self.email is going to be our new email. Self.name will be our new name, and our hashed password is going to be hashlib dot SHA-512, and then we need this will give us a string, or ideally we should receive a string. But we'll get a string, and we need to convert it into a bytes string encoded in UTF-8. So we convert it into bytes, or we want to get the bytes of the string. So we pass our new password variable, and then we pass the type of encoding. So the string that we wanted to convert into bytes, and what it's encoded in at the moment. So our encoding is going to be UTF-8. And then we do .hex digest to convert that into hexadecimal that we're able to read. So we've got our hash password, and then we need to set our self.password as our new password. Sorry, hashed password. There we go. Self.password equals the hashed password. We're going to need a function later on to check the password. So check password. So we're just going to be checking that the password supplied. So the password that's been supplied is the same as the one that we've got stored in the database. So we're going to call that check password. So the one that we're going to be checking, and we're going to convert it into a hash. So again, hashlib SHA-512. Convert it into bytes. We pass through our password that we've received. We pass through our encoding type, UTF-8, and we convert it to hexadecimal. And then we'll just return if self.password is the same as the password that we are checking against. So that's all fine so far. We're going to now set up our HTML stuff. So at the moment we've just got a very blank page with nothing on it. So let's get the HTML set up. So bootstrap. Fine, let me just get the boilerplate code that I need. Cool. All right. So inside of the app folder, we're going to create a new file, a new folder called templates, and this is where all our different templates will be stored. We're going to create a base.html template. This will be used as kind of like the boilerplate one, which includes all the stuff we need to import, all the CSS and everything that we need. We're going to declare the dot type of HTML, and just close that as well. We'll set it that the file is in English. There we go. We need our head. And we'll declare this as our block head. And in here, all we're going to do is import that bootstrap.load CSS. So we've got Bootstrap running. So if we use this now, we shouldn't have too much on there. In fact, it needs to be inside my styles. So we're going to add that in first. Block styles. And we'll just copy that in block. So we've ended up with that for our base HTML. If we then create an index.html in here, we can import that base HTML and we can kind of see what it does. So this is going to extend the base.html, and we'll set our block content. We'll just say hello world. We need to make sure this block content is going to show. So we'll sort that out now as well. So we're going to just jump back into the base HTML. We're going to declare our body. And we'll get it set up. So we just have to have our block content stuff here. And block, we also need to have our CSS for Bootstrap as well. Block scripts, the end block, and we then just have bootstrap.load the JavaScript. So we need to get this all to display now. So if we go back into our roots, we can say from Flask import our render template, and then we should be able to return render template just do it on a new line because we're going to do in a bit, index.html. And if I refresh my page now, you'll see ever so slightly that the font's changed just to a different version there. So that I know that Bootstrap is loading. I could put a button in there just to check as well, but the font's changed, so I know it's loading. I could inspect element as well, and I can see that some of the stuff that I've just written in is now working. So I've got that CSS coming there from Bootstrap, and I think that's about it. Yeah, there's my JavaScript there, which is inside my body, which isn't quite right. I should go in a footer, but we'll roll with it. So that's how we can set up the models, and we can set up the boilerplate part of our web page. I will link the or put the requirements here .txt, copy paste to this in the description, and I think that's the only bit I need to put in the description. The rest of it was on the screen. So there you go.